Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving into the extraordinary life of one of Hollywood's most iconic actresses, Bette Davis. From a challenging childhood in Lowell, Massachusetts, to her rise as a fearless trailblazer on the silver screen, Bette Davis broke boundaries at every turn. Stay with me, because in this video we'll explore her early years, her family struggles, her groundbreaking career, the scandals that rocked Hollywood, and much more, all leading to the remarkable legacy she left behind. Bette Davis, born Ruth Elizabeth Davis on April 5, 1908, in Lowell, Massachusetts, was the eldest daughter of Ruth Augusta and Harlow Morell Davis, a patent attorney. Despite the upheaval, Bette's mother, Ruth, proved to be a resilient and independent woman. She moved the family to New York City, working tirelessly to provide for her daughters. Ruth's strength and determination became a guiding influence in Bette's life, instilling values of independence and ambition. A firm believer in the arts, Ruth nurtured Bette's creative interests, exposing her to culture and performance at an early age. While growing up, Bette exhibited a strong personality and an early penchant for drama. She was known to be headstrong and confident, qualities that would later define her as a formidable force in Hollywood. Her love for storytelling and the arts began to blossom when she attended Cushing Academy, a boarding school in Massachusetts. At Cushing, Bette thrived in the theater program, showing a natural talent for acting that caught the attention of her peers and teachers alike. During this period, Bette decided to alter the spelling of her name to Bette, inspired by the French novel La Cousine Bette by Honoré de Balzac. The novel's protagonist, a complex and somewhat tragic figure, mirrored the ambitious, independent traits Bette admired. This choice hinted at the sharp, intense characters she would later portray on screen. While Bette possessed a striking appearance, her looks didn't align with the conventional standards of Hollywood beauty at the time. She was often told her features were too sharp or unconventional. Yet, even as a young girl, she carried herself with an air of authority and charisma that set her apart. Her strong-willed nature occasionally caused friction with others, but it also fueled her determination to excel in any endeavor she pursued. Another turning point in her early years came when her mother used part of the family's limited resources to attend the Clarence White School of Photography in New York. This decision exposed Betty and her sister to the vibrant, artistic world of New York City, broadening their horizons and fostering Bette's interest in theater. Bette's upbringing was far from easy, but it shaped her into the relentless, boundary-pushing actress the world would come to know. Her early life taught her the importance of resilience, self-reliance, and the value of pursuing one's passion no matter the obstacles. These lessons would become the foundation of her remarkable career and legacy. Throughout her formative years, Bette's determination was tempered by the challenges within her household, in particular the strained marriage between her parents, and the subsequent divorce would not only shape her perspective, but also deepen her bond with her mother, Ruth, and her younger sister, Barbara. This family dynamic set the stage for much of what Bette would face as she grew into adulthood. Bette Davis grew up in a household filled with tension and discord. Her parents, Ruth Augusta and Harlow Morell Davis, had a strained marriage marked by emotional distance and incompatibility. Harlow, a patent attorney, was often preoccupied with his work, leaving little time or energy for family life. Ruth, on the other hand, was an artistic and independent woman, qualities that contrasted sharply with her husband's pragmatic nature. The marriage deteriorated rapidly, and when Bette was 10 years old, her parents divorced. This event profoundly impacted Bette, as it was unusual for couples to divorce during that era, particularly in small-town Massachusetts, where societal expectations were rigid. Despite the emotional toll, Bette later expressed relief at the separation, noting that her parents' constant unhappiness made their union unbearable for everyone involved. After the divorce, Ruth Augusta took on the challenging task of raising Bette and her younger sister, Barbara, nicknamed Bobby, on her own. Ruth's strength and resilience became a cornerstone of the Davis family. She refused to let financial hardship define their lives and made bold decisions to ensure her daughters had a future. One of the most significant decisions was moving the family to New York City when Bette was 13. Ruth's influence on Bette extended beyond providing opportunities. She served as a role model for independence and determination, teaching her daughters to value creativity and ambition. Bette often credited her mother with instilling in her a fierce sense of purpose and the courage to defy societal norms. Ruth encouraged Bette to pursue acting and supported her dreams, even when others doubted her potential. Bette's relationship with her younger sister, Bobby, was complex but close. The two shared a bond forged through the challenges of growing up in a fractured household. However, as Bette's career took off, their paths diverged and their relationship became more distant. Bobby chose a quieter life, eventually working as a secretary, while Bette rose to fame as one of Hollywood's most celebrated actresses. Despite Ruth's unwavering support, life as a single mother in the 1920s was far from easy. The family lived modestly, and Ruth often struggled to make ends meet. However, she maintained a dignified demeanor and never let her daughters see the full extent of her struggles. Ruth's sacrifices and determination left an indelible mark on Bette, shaping her strong work ethic and resilience in the face of adversity. The family dynamic was far from perfect, but it laid the groundwork for Bette's tenacity and unyielding spirit. Ruth's unconventional choices and refusal to conform to societal expectations set an example that Bette carried with her throughout her life and career, becoming one of the most iconic actresses of her time. Bolstered by these formative family experiences, Bette soon turned her ambitions toward the stage and screen, forging a path that would eventually secure her place as a legendary figure in Hollywood. Bette Davis's journey to becoming a Hollywood icon was marked by ambition, resilience, and a refusal to accept limitations. Her passion for acting began at 18, inspired by Peg Entwistle's performance in a 1925 stage production of The Wild Duck. This transformative experience ignited a fire in Davis, leading her to pursue theater. She trained at the John Murray Anderson School of Theater, where her teachers immediately recognized her raw talent and expressive intensity. Despite her dedication, Davis's early career was fraught with rejection. She auditioned for George Cukor's stock theater company in Rochester, New York, but failed to impress him initially. However, he saw potential and offered her a small role, marking her first professional acting experience. Her Broadway debut came in Broken Dishes, 1929, followed by Solid South, 1930, both of which showcased her growing talent. In 1930, Davis moved to Hollywood, signed by Universal Studios after a screen test. Her initial foray into film was Rocky. Her first test was deemed unimpressive, and her first film, The Bad Sister, 1931, flopped at the box office. Universal dropped her after just a year, but Davis's determination did not waver. She secured a contract with Warner Brothers in 1932, where her persistence and talent began to pay off. Her breakthrough came in Of Human Bondage, 1934, where she portrayed the complex and ruthless Mildred Rogers. Despite the role being against type for actresses at the time, Davis's performance was lauded for its emotional depth and realism, earning her first Academy Award nomination. Warner Brothers initially saw her as a supporting player, but her critical success demanded greater recognition. Davis's subsequent roles solidified her reputation as a powerhouse actress, unafraid to take on challenging, unglamorous parts. In 1935, she won her first Academy Award for Dangerous, where she portrayed a troubled actress. However, it was her role as the headstrong Julie Marsden in Jezebel, 1938, that earned her a second Oscar and cemented her status as one of Hollywood's leading ladies. Despite her success, Davis was unafraid to challenge the studio system. Frustrated by the restrictive terms of her Warner Brothers contract, which limited her choice of roles, Davis took the studio to court in 1936. Although she lost the legal battle, the case marked a pivotal moment in the fight for actors' rights and set a precedent for greater creative freedom in Hollywood. Throughout the 1940s, Davis dominated the screen with performances in films such as Now, Voyager, 1942, and All About Eve, 1950, the latter of which remains one of her most iconic roles. In All About Eve, Davis played the aging actress Margot Channing, delivering a performance filled with wit, vulnerability, and fire. The film earned her another Academy Award nomination and is considered one of the greatest films in cinematic history. Davis's career was not without its struggles. By the late 1940s, she experienced a decline in box office appeal and struggled to find meaningful roles. However, her resilience led to a resurgence in the 1950s and 1960s, where she embraced television roles and appeared in films like Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, 1962. The latter showcased her ability to reinvent herself and introduced her to a new generation of fans. Over her 5-decade career, Bette Davis appeared in over 100 films, earning 10 Academy Award nominations and winning twice. She was the first female president of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences and played a key role in founding the Hollywood Canteen, which provided entertainment for World War II servicemen. Davis's fearless approach to her craft, combined with her trailblazing spirit, broke barriers for women in Hollywood. She refused to conform to the industry's expectations, often taking on strong, unlikable, and complex female characters. Her legacy as a pioneer endures, inspiring countless actresses to embrace challenging roles and demand autonomy in their careers. Even as her talent and ambition propelled her to the upper echelons of Hollywood stardom, Bette Davis's personal and professional life would become embroiled in several notable scandals, controversies that laid bare her willingness to confront any obstacle on or off the screen. Bette Davis's illustrious career was accompanied by a series of controversies that added a dramatic, often tumultuous, layer to her public persona. Known for her fierce independence and uncompromising nature, Davis was not one to shy away from confrontation, whether on set, in her personal life, or in her relationships with colleagues. One of the most infamous scandals in Hollywood history was Davis's long-standing feud with fellow actress Joan Crawford. The animosity between the two began in the 1930s, reportedly over a love triangle involving actor Franchot Tone. Davis had fallen for Tone while working on the film Dangerous, 1935, but Crawford, who was already romantically involved with him, acted quickly to secure their engagement. This personal betrayal deeply hurt Davis and became the seed of their rivalry. The feud escalated into professional competition as both actresses vied for the spotlight during Hollywood's golden age. One of the most notable incidents occurred in 1936 when Davis was expecting front-page coverage for her new status as Warner Brothers' leading star. However, Crawford strategically announced her divorce from Douglas Fairbanks Jr. on the same day, overshadowing Davis's publicity. This deliberate move enraged Davis, cementing her resentment. Their animosity reached a peak during the filming of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, 1962. On set, the two engaged in constant sabotage. Crawford allegedly filled her pockets with weights during a scene where Davis had to drag her across the floor, causing physical strain. In retaliation, Davis reportedly accidentally kicked Crawford in the head during another scene, resulting in stitches. Despite the tension, their feud contributed to the film's success, drawing audiences eager to witness the dynamic between these two Hollywood titans. Another major scandal in Davis's life emerged from her tumultuous relationship with her daughter Barbara Davis Hyman. In her 1985 memoir, My Mother's Keeper, Hyman painted a harsh portrait of Davis as a controlling, emotionally abusive mother who was obsessed with power and dominance. She accused Davis of manipulating those around her, often using guilt and intimidation to maintain control. Perhaps the most sensational claim was that Davis practiced witchcraft and the occult. According to Hyman, Davis would perform rituals, gut fish while cursing her enemies, and even adopt a satanic demeanor to frighten her. These allegations were shocking to fans and fueled media speculation. Hyman also recounted instances of Davis's alleged alcohol abuse, claiming that her mother's drinking fueled erratic behavior. She described incidents where Davis pretended to overdose on drugs, only to reappear later with smug remarks meant to teach her children a lesson. While many dismiss these accounts as exaggerations or fabrications, they cast a shadow over Davis's carefully cultivated public image. Davis fiercely denied her daughter's claims in her own memoir, This and That, 1987, calling them false and vindictive. The feud between mother and daughter remained unresolved, with Davis disinheriting Hyman in her will. Davis's fiery personality often led to clashes with directors, producers, and co-stars. She was known for being demanding and unafraid to voice her opinions, which earned her both admiration and criticism. Some colleagues described her as a perfectionist, while others labeled her behavior as tyrannical. Bette Davis's 1936 legal dispute with Warner Brothers stood out as a defining moment in her career, revealing her determination to control the quality of her work and challenge an oppressive studio system. In the early 1930s, Hollywood was dominated by major studios that enforced strict, long-term contracts on their actors. These contracts generally lasted 7 years, limiting an actor's freedom to refuse roles or negotiate better terms. Although this arrangement provided steady work and financial security, it allowed studios to dictate the direction of an actor's career. By 1936, Davis had become one of Warner Brothers' biggest stars, largely thanks to her notable performances in films such as Of Human Bondage, 1934, and Dangerous, 1935. However, she grew frustrated by the studio's tendency to assign her what she viewed as inferior roles, fearing they would undermine her artistic potential and tarnish her reputation. Her dissatisfaction was fueled by a desire for greater creative freedom and a belief that her talents merited more substantial scripts. When Warner Brothers insisted she take on roles she deemed unworthy, Davis decided it was time to act. Rejecting the studio's control, Davis stopped reporting to work and traveled to the United Kingdom, hoping the British courts might be more receptive to her case. In her lawsuit, she contended that Warner Brothers' contractual terms were too restrictive, describing them as a form of indentured servitude. Davis argued she should be free to seek more challenging, higher quality parts elsewhere, without fear of legal reprisal. This bold step was nearly unprecedented, especially for an actress under contract to a powerful American studio. Ultimately, Davis lost the lawsuit. The British court upheld Warner Brothers' right to enforce the contract and ordered her to return to the studio. Although the legal defeat meant she had to continue working under the same terms, it did not end her ambition or her influence. Public interest in the case elevated Davis's stature, proving she was willing to fight for her principles. Warner Brothers, aware of the attention the battle had generated, began offering her better scripts and more prestigious opportunities, recognizing that her star power was too great to waste on lackluster roles. While these scandals and controversies painted a complex, sometimes unflattering picture of Davis, they also underscored her unyielding nature and willingness to challenge societal norms. Her feud with Crawford became legendary, immortalized in pop culture, including the TV series Feud, Bette and Joan. Similarly, the public fallout with her daughter highlighted the often hidden difficulties of balancing fame and family. Despite the controversies, Davis's professional achievements remain undeniable. Her willingness to take risks, fight for better roles, and challenge Hollywood conventions paved the way for future generations of actresses. The scandals surrounding her life only add depth to her legacy, revealing a woman who was as complex and intense as the characters she portrayed on screen. Yet behind the headlines of scandal and controversy lay another facet of Bette Davis's life: her quest for love and stability, as evidenced by the tumultuous marriages that shaped her personal journey. Bette Davis's personal life was as dramatic and complex as the character she portrayed on screen. Over the years, she married 4 times, each union reflecting her fiery personality and relentless pursuit of love and stability. Despite her efforts, none of her marriages brought lasting happiness, and each ended in heartbreak or turmoil. First marriage: Harmon Oscar Nelson Jr., 1932 to 1938. At the age of 24, Bette Davis married her high school sweetheart, Harmon Oscar Nelson Jr., a musician known as Ham. Their union began with optimism, but quickly unraveled due to financial strains and emotional conflicts. Nelson's career paled in comparison to Davis's meteoric rise in Hollywood, creating tension in their relationship. The marriage became particularly strained when Davis became pregnant twice, but Nelson to pressure her into having abortions. At the time, abortion was not only taboo but also dangerous, leaving Davis deeply traumatized. In her later reflections, she described the emotional toll of these events as devastating. Nelson's jealousy over Davis's success compounded their issues. He reportedly belittled her achievements, which led Davis to seek solace outside their marriage. Davis later admitted to an affair during their union, which contributed to their eventual divorce in 1938. Second marriage: Arthur Farnsworth, 1940 to 1943. 2 years after her divorce, Davis married Arthur Farnsworth, a businessman from New England. Their marriage was reportedly happy, albeit brief. Farnsworth supported Davis during one of the busiest periods of her career, and she described him as a stabilizing force in her life. Tragically, their marriage was cut short when Farnsworth collapsed while walking in Hollywood in 1943. He died shortly after, with an autopsy revealing a skull fracture, likely the result of a previous fall. Davis was devastated by his sudden death, describing it as one of the most painful experiences of her life. She honored him by dedicating her Oscar for Jezebel, 1938, to his memory. Third marriage: William Grant Sherry, 1945 to 1950. In 1945, Davis married her third husband, artist William Grant Sherry. This marriage brought some semblance of domesticity, as the couple welcomed their daughter, Barbara Davis Sherry, affectionately known as BD. However, the union was far from idyllic. Davis's career demands often kept her away from home, leading to growing tensions between her and Sherry. Their differences in personality and priorities became irreconcilable, and the marriage ended in divorce in 1950. Their daughter, B.D., would later become a source of controversy in Davis's life, especially after publishing a scathing memoir about their relationship. Fourth marriage. Gary Merrill, 1950 to 1960. Shortly after her divorce from Sherry, Davis married actor Gary Merrill, her co-star in the acclaimed film All About Eve, 1950. Their marriage seemed promising at first, fueled by their shared passion for acting. Together, they adopted 2 children, Margot and Michael, expanding their family. However, the marriage was turbulent, plagued by frequent arguments and clashes over their careers and parenting styles. Margot was later diagnosed with brain damage, adding emotional strain to the family dynamic. Davis and Merrill divorced in 1960, marking the end of her attempts to find lasting marital happiness. Despite the challenges in her marriages, Davis embraced motherhood with determination. She raised 3 children, B.D., Margot, and Michael, though her relationship with them, particularly with B.D., was fraught with difficulties. In her later years, Davis expressed regret over her inability to balance her demanding career with her personal life, acknowledging the sacrifices she made along the way. Davis often spoke candidly about her struggles with love, describing herself as a woman who sought the same intensity in her personal relationships as she brought to her acting roles. She once remarked, "I was always willing to give marriage everything, but it seemed that everything was too much for some men." While none of her marriages provided the fairy tale ending she desired, they each contributed to the depth and complexity of her character. Her experiences in love and loss added a raw authenticity to her performances, allowing her to connect with audiences on a profoundly emotional level. Beyond these 4 marriages, Bette Davis's personal connections, whether within her immediate family or among friends and colleagues, further illuminated her multifaceted character, revealing the extent to which relationships shaped her life on and off the screen. The most notorious of Bette Davis's personal relationships was with her eldest daughter, Barbara Davis Hyman, known as B.D. Their tumultuous relationship became public in 1985, when B.D. published her memoir, My Mother's Keeper. The book painted Davis as a controlling, domineering, and emotionally abusive mother who prioritized her career over her family. B.D. accused Davis of manipulating those around her, being excessively demanding, and using guilt as a weapon to maintain control. Perhaps the most shocking claims in the memoir were allegations of Davis's substance abuse and erratic behavior. B.D. recounted instances where Davis allegedly pretended to overdose or staged dramatic scenarios to manipulate her children. B.D. also suggested that Davis had practiced witchcraft, describing unsettling rituals and behaviors. The memoir caused a media frenzy and divided public opinion. Many of Davis's fans and colleagues leapt to her defense, arguing that the book was a betrayal of a mother who had worked tirelessly to provide for her family. Davis herself vehemently denied the allegations in her own memoir, This and That, 1987, calling B.D.'s accounts exaggerated and hurtful. The rift between mother and daughter was never healed, and Davis disinherited B.D. in her will, a move that further fueled speculation about their relationship. Bette Davis's relationship with her younger sister, Barbara Bobby Davis, was complex but close during their early years. Growing up in a fractured household after their parents' divorce, the sisters relied on each other for support. However, as Bette's career skyrocketed, the 2 grew apart. Bobby chose a quieter, more private life, working as a secretary, while Bette became one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Despite their different paths, Bette always expressed a deep affection for her sister. However, the gap in their lifestyles often led to misunderstandings, and their relationship became distant in later years. Davis developed a notable friendship with Olivia de Havilland, her co-star in the 1964 psychological thriller Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte. While the production of the film was initially fraught with drama, largely due to the departure of Joan Crawford, whom de Havilland replaced, the two actresses found common ground. Davis admired de Havilland's professionalism and grace, and the two maintained a cordial relationship throughout their careers. Bette Davis had a complicated relationship with her fans and the media. While she was adored by millions for her talent and groundbreaking roles, her candidness often made her a target of criticism. Davis was unafraid to express her opinions, whether about the industry, her personal life, or her co-stars. This honesty won her admirers, but also alienated some within the Hollywood elite. Davis was also fiercely loyal to her fan base. She spent significant time answering fan mail and attending events to connect with her audience. Even in her later years, when her health began to decline, Davis remained active in public life, attending film festivals and award ceremonies to honor her contributions to cinema. Yet, as the final chapter of her life began, even Bette Davis's enduring resilience would be tested by serious health challenges, leading her to confront the ultimate reality that awaited every Hollywood legend. Bette Davis's later years were marked by significant health challenges that tested her resilience. In 1983, she was diagnosed with breast cancer and underwent a mastectomy to remove the tumor. Shortly after her surgery, Davis suffered a series of debilitating strokes that left her partially paralyzed and severely weakened. The once vibrant actress, known for her fiery spirit and indomitable presence, faced an uphill battle to regain her mobility and speech. Despite these setbacks, Davis displayed remarkable determination, embarking on a rigorous rehabilitation program. Her health struggles, however, did not deter her from continuing her public appearances and advocating for the film industry. Her final major public event was the San Sebastian International Film Festival in Spain, where she received a Lifetime Achievement Award in 1989. Bette Davis passed away on October 6, 1989, at the American Hospital in Neuilly-sur-Seine, France, just outside of Paris. She succumbed to a recurrence of breast cancer which had metastasized during her visit to Europe. Davis had been attending the San Sebastian International Film Festival shortly before her death, demonstrating her unwavering commitment to her career and legacy even in her final days. Her death marked the end of an era, as Davis was one of the last surviving icons of Hollywood's golden age. She was 81 years old at the time of her passing. In her will, Davis made a controversial decision to exclude her eldest daughter, Barbara Davis Hyman, from any inheritance. The document stated explicitly, "I declare that I have intentionally and with full knowledge omitted to provide herein for my daughter, Barbara Davis Hyman." Instead, Davis left the majority of her estate to her adopted son, Michael Merrill, and her longtime assistant, Catherine Cermak, who had been a steadfast companion during her later years. This decision reignited public interest in Davis's turbulent relationship with B.D., as well as speculation about unresolved family conflicts. Catherine Cermak later wrote a memoir, Miss D and Me, Life with the Invincible Bette Davis, in which she detailed Davis's final years, her unwavering strength, and her reflections on her legacy. According to Cermak, Davis was deeply saddened by the estrangement from her daughter, but believed her decision to exclude B.D. from the will was justified. News of Davis's death sent shockwaves through Hollywood and the film industry. Tributes poured in from across the world, with colleagues, fans, and critics celebrating her contributions to cinema. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, of which Davis was the first female president, honored her as a pioneer who had reshaped the role of women in film. Her funeral, held in Los Angeles, was attended by many of Hollywood's elite. Davis was laid to rest in Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, California, next to her mother and sister. Her headstone bears the inscription, "She did it the hard way." This epitaph, chosen by Davis herself, reflected her journey as a trailblazer who fought for her place in a male-dominated industry. Bette Davis left behind a legacy of resilience, courage, and exceptional artistry. Over her 5-decade career, she appeared in more than 100 films, earned 10 Academy Award nominations, and won 2 Oscars. Beyond her on-screen achievements, Davis broke barriers for women in Hollywood, taking on challenging roles that defied conventional beauty and societal norms. Her death did not diminish her influence. Rather, it amplified appreciation for her contributions to cinema. Films such as All About Eve, Jezebel, and now Voyager continue to be celebrated as masterpieces, with Davis's performances regarded as benchmarks of acting excellence. And that wraps up our look into the life and legacy of Bette Davis. As we've seen, she was far more than just a Hollywood star. She was a force of nature who refused to be silenced or sidelined. Her story reminds us that true greatness often comes with immense challenges, but also with an unbreakable will to succeed. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of cinema's legends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.